There is a square mile of California desert where the government owns every inch of land, yet has never once collected a single dollar of rent. And nobody in charge seems to know how to fix that. This is the story of Slab City, a town built entirely out of stolen military concrete, sitting in one of the harshest deserts in America. No mayor, no power grid, no water lines. Just a few thousand people living completely outside the system, in the middle of one of the most regulated states on Earth. California has tried to clear this place out. More than once. Both times the state walked away with nothing. So why does this happen here, and nowhere else in California? The honest answer has nothing to do with the law. It comes down to a math problem the state keeps losing. One it has lost twice now, and something buried underground nearby that is about to make that math problem a lot more urgent than anyone living on those slabs realizes. Start with the desert itself, back in 1942. The Navy needed flat, brutal land to train Marines for fighting overseas, and California happened to own exactly that kind of ground, a leftover square of school land nobody had ever touched, set aside decades earlier just to be sold off someday to fund classrooms. The Navy leased it, built a base called Camp Dunlap, and paid the state $3,810 for the lease. Still the only dollar amount California has ever collected off this land in its entire history. Marines trained there for 3 years, then packed up and vanished almost overnight when the war ended. Crews stripped every building for scrap and hauled the lumber away in trucks. What was too heavy to move got left sitting in the sand, foundation after foundation, baking under a sun that hits 115 degrees most summer afternoons. For 15 years, nothing happened. Then people started noticing the slabs. Farm workers parked their trucks on the old foundations first. The concrete kept the dust down and gave them flat ground to build on. Nobody asked permission. Nobody stopped them. A drifter named Leonard Knight wandered in decades later with a broken hot air balloon he'd built to carry a message into the sky. It never flew, so he started piling mud and paint onto a hillside instead, and kept building for almost 30 years, sleeping at the foot of his own creation through freezing nights and burning days. By the time he died in 2014, that hillside had become Salvation Mountain, 50 feet tall, bright enough to spot from a plane, and it turned a patch of squatted desert into a place people now drove hours out of their way to see. The abandoned base slowly became something nobody planned. A pool became a skate park. Concrete foundations became campsites. Artists turned junk into landmarks people now drive hours to photograph. Every leftover piece of Camp Dunlap solved another problem for the people moving in, and every problem it solved made the settlement a little harder to remove. By winter, hundreds of RVs rolled into the desert, retirees chasing warm weather and free rent. Some years, the population reached 4,000 people, bigger than some real towns nearby. Then, in 2015, California finally made its move. The state opened a real sale on the land. Appraisers walked the property. Paperwork moved through Sacramento. For the first time since the war, Slab City had a price tag on it. Residents who had lived there for years, sometimes decades, scrambled to protect it. One group tried to buy the entire settlement before a developer could get to it first. Another filed separately just to preserve the ground under Salvation Mountain, and that single filing sparked panic through the whole community. If one piece could be sold off, why not the rest, parcel by parcel, to whoever moved fastest with a checkbook? And then, without warning, the sale just stopped. It stalled somewhere in the appraisal process and quietly died. No announcement, no explanation. That's the twist most people miss. California didn't lose that fight to a protest or a lawsuit. The math never worked. Clearing out squatters with no clean title, no utilities, and nowhere else to go cost more than the land was ever going to bring back in cash. So the state walked away. At the time, nothing about that desert was valuable enough to justify the fight. That would change years later when something beneath the nearby Salton Sea suddenly became one of the most valuable resources in America. Even after giving up on eviction, California never fully ignored Slab City. Firefighters still respond, Over 100 calls most years, mostly medical, the same as any regular town. Sheriff's deputies still patrol. Mail still arrives. In December 2019, federal marshals tracked 4 wanted men hiding among the RVs and found all 4 within 2 days. The law never disappeared out here. It simply never found a reason to erase the town, because the math never worked. That alone would explain why Slab City is still standing today. But here's the part that should really catch you off guard. If leftover military land automatically turned into a permanent squatter town, this would happen everywhere. It doesn't. Fort Ord, a base twice the size of Slab City up the coast, closed in 1994 and became a university with 7,000 students inside of a decade, plus thousands of new homes and jobs built right on the old barracks grounds. The Presidio in San Francisco turned into office parks and parkland worth billions. El Toro down in Orange County became a public park with hiking trails and sports fields. Every one of these closed bases got cleaned up, developed, and folded back into the economy fast. So why didn't Slab City follow the same path? Because none of those other bases sat in the middle of nowhere, and none of them turned out to be sitting on something the rest of the world suddenly wanted. Slab City did both, and that second part just changed. A few miles south, under the shrinking Salton Sea, sits one of the largest untapped lithium deposits on the planet. Enough, according to federal estimates, for over 375 million electric vehicle batteries. That is more lithium than every car currently on American roads combined. Beneath the surface sits superheated brine packed with dissolved lithium. Companies can pump it up, extract the lithium, then use the leftover heat to generate electricity. One well, 2 valuable products. California has branded the region Lithium Valley, and it stopped being a rumor in January 2025, when a company broke ground on a $1.85 billion plant called Hell's Kitchen, built exactly on that process. A lawsuit tried to stop the project. A judge threw the case out within the year. 2 more companies are now racing to build competing plants along the same shoreline, with thousands of new jobs already being advertised, some paying $80,000 a year before overtime. County planners have drafted a build-out plan covering over 52,000 acres around the sea, and the state has called it the birth of a second Silicon Valley, this one built on batteries instead of code. None of these projects sit directly on Slab City, not yet, but every single one of them needs exactly what Slab City has been quietly sitting on for 80 years: flat land, easy road access, and ground the state can move on fast because almost nobody legally owns it. For the first time since the Marines rolled out in 1945, the dirt under those slabs isn't worthless anymore. Talk to people on the slabs today and you can feel the mood shift. Trucks pass by on roads that used to sit empty. Some residents joke about it. Others don't joke at all. They remember 2015, and they know exactly what happens once land. Nobody wanted suddenly starts looking valuable because they lived through the last time it almost happened. For decades, Slab City survived because it wasn't worth the fight. The math never worked. Lithium may be the first thing capable of changing that equation, but it hasn't. Not yet. Not for the slabs themselves. For 80 years, nobody wanted this land. Now everyone wants the land around it. The only question left is how long that difference lasts.